I have always wanted a 4K Power over Ethernet PoE security camera with built-in LED floodlights. It's possible to install separate smart floodlights for my existing cameras, but you just can't beat the convenience of a single package that works on PoE. No extra power supply or wiring needed. So I was very excited when Reolink sent me the Duo Floodlight PoE to review. There are two versions, this PoE version and a Wi-Fi version. Both have 4K resolution, two very bright floodlight LEDs, and also dual lenses with 180 degrees panoramic field of view. They also have smart motion detection that can turn on the floodlights whenever a person, animal, or vehicle is detected. They also work fully locally with Home Assistant and Frigate NVR. No cloud reliance and no subscription needed. So I'll be looking at the features of the camera, setting it up with the Reolink app, Home Assistant, Frigate NVR, the floodlight performance, motion detection, video and audio quality, and of course how it works with our smart home setup. As always, for more details, check out the written blog article linked below. So let's get started. The Duo Floodlight can work as a fully standalone security camera. If you use the built-in microSD card slot, you can also enjoy the built-in NVR feature, accessible through the Reolink mobile app or desktop app. Since the camera supports ONVIF and RTSP, you can also use the camera with any ONVIF compliant NVR, PC or NAS-based NVR, like Frigate NVR, but not all the features may be supported. Of course, you can always connect it to Reolink's own NVR models, and all the camera's special features such as the floodlight controls will be available. If you prefer, you can always set the camera to save clips to your FTP server, and there's an excellent Reolink integration in Home Assistant as well. Personally, I have the Duo Floodlight connected to Frigate NVR, which does AI object detection. I also have the Duo Floodlight configured to upload smart motion detection clips to an FTP server on my local network. More on that in the Frigate and FTP sections later on. The Reolink Duo Floodlight looks exactly like what you would imagine if you have seen the regular Duo camera before. Basically, it's the Duo Dual-Lens camera that is attached to the floodlight accessory, which is also available for purchase separately. But with this Duo Floodlight camera, you can control the floodlights from the Reolink integration in Home Assistant, which is not possible with the standalone floodlight. In the box, the camera and the floodlight come packaged separately. Everything that you need to mount and install the camera on a masonry wall is included in the box. There's even an Ethernet cable. Let's take a closer look at the camera now. The body is the same as the regular Reolink Duo camera with a dual-tone black and white metallic casing. The camera has a smart image stitching feature whereby it automatically seamlessly stitches the streams from each lens to produce a single 4K stream with a panoramic 180-degree field of view. However, unlike the previous generation Duo, this new camera will not let you access each lens's 2K stream individually. So whatever you plan to do with the video stream, make sure your hardware can handle a very wide resolution of 4608 by 1728 at up to 20 fps. For night vision, each of the 2K lenses have 7 infrared LEDs around it. The 14 infrared LEDs together give a black and white night vision range of up to 30 meters or 98 feet. The day-night light sensor for the auto IR cut filter is placed between the two lenses. This lets the camera automatically switch between daytime color vision and nighttime infrared vision. The microphone is placed just below this day and night sensor. On the top of the camera, there is only a mounting point in case you want to place the camera below the floodlights for some reason. The recommendation from the manual is to place the camera over the floodlights. On the underside of the camera, we see a removable cover for the microSD card slot and the reset button, the mounting point for attaching the camera to the floodlights, and the downfiring speaker. Together with the microphone, the speaker lets you have a two-way conversation with anyone near the camera. The microSD slot takes cards of up to 256 GB in capacity, which is pretty standard these days. If you don't have an NVR or don't need one, the camera has this built-in NVR feature using a microSD card. So how do we connect the camera to the floodlight? That's where the adapter fixed permanently to the camera comes in. It has a DC power port, LAN port, and a 2-prong LED connector port. Let's take a look at the floodlight now. The 40 LEDs together provide 1800 lumens of illumination with a color temperature of 4200 K, which is cold white. The LEDs consume 15 watts of power by themselves. That's why the camera and floodlights together are rated at 24 watts of power consumption. So you can see why this camera needs a PoE switch that offers the 802.3 AT standard and not just the AF version. 802.3 AT can provide up to 25 watts of power, whereas 802.3 AF can do only 15 watts. Each of the floodlights are individually adjustable so that you can point them anywhere you want. The camera can also be adjusted up, down, left and right using the provided Allen key. You can also adjust the tilt angle of the camera. The recommended height for installing security cameras is between 8 to 10 feet. If you have ever tried installing a large camera that height while on a ladder, you know it's difficult. Thankfully, Reolink has thought this through properly, and mounting the camera can be done in stages. First, screw the camera and the floodlight together as shown. Connect the cable from the LED to the camera adapter. Then mark the screw holes using the provided drill template. Then drill and install the mounting bracket. My house is a North European new build. It has a thin facade with 25 centimeters of insulation block behind it, so I had to use a special anchor that is not included with the camera. Hook the safety clip. Connect the Ethernet cable from your PoE switch and the DC cable if you're not using PoE. Place the camera on the bracket, screw in the final screw, and you're done. Make sure your switch can provide enough power for the camera to work. That's up to 24 watts at night when the floodlights are on. I use a Landberg 802.3 AF PoE switch which can provide up to 30 watts per port. That's plenty of power for this camera. By default, when you plug it into your network, it'll accept an IP address provided by your router's DHCP server. No internet required for either camera setup or operation, except if you want push notifications. I connected the Reolink Duo floodlight to my VLAN dedicated to security cameras. This VLAN allows me to block internet access to security cameras, but optionally allow internet access on a per device basis if required for something like push notifications. As the Reolink Duo floodlight is capable of fully local standalone operation, there is no specific camera setup process you need to follow. But several methods are available for adjusting the settings such as image stitching, stream resolutions, smart motion detection, and floodlight control. This is my preferred method of managing the camera settings. Since the admin page uses HTML5, you can use any modern web browser such as Safari, Chrome, Firefox, or Brave. With the Duo floodlight, I had to adjust the image stitching settings slightly to get the images from the two lenses to line up perfectly. This is found under the image stitching setting on the Live View landing page. I also set the privacy mask feature to mask off some houses in the background. However, the web admin page wouldn't allow me to live view the main 4K stream in my browser, complaining that the system was not powerful enough. This is definitely not true. It's a pretty powerful gaming PC with a Ryzen 12-core CPU, tons of RAM, NVMe drive, and an NVIDIA 1660 Super video card. The Reolink desktop client is ideal for live viewing the mainstream 4K resolution and for using the built-in NVR feature of the camera with a microSD card. The live view feature is especially useful if you use only Reolink cameras and would like a multi-camera view. The software can display up to 36 cameras simultaneously. Also, there is a very nice toolbar at the bottom of the app that enables two-way talk, controls the floodlights, sounds the siren, takes snapshots, or records clips. Most of these functions are not available in the web admin page. However, there are some oddities. I couldn't find the image stitching settings in the Reolink desktop client, but it was available in the web admin page. If you're using the camera for motion detection, it is worth adjusting the smart detection sensitivity and setting up features such as minimum object size, for alerts and motion masks. Both the desktop and mobile apps allow you to set these up. Reolink calls motion masks no detection zones. So you don't need to rely on privacy masks if you don't want the camera to detect motion in a particular area. Just use the no detection zone feature. This is very useful for areas like footpaths or the road in front of your driveway because you're not interested in the people or cars on the road, just the ones that enter your driveway. All of these adjustments will help reduce false alerts massively. The floodlight behavior can be controlled in detail, but I like to leave it at the default night smart mode setting, where it turns on only at night when it detects a person. You can record audio on your clips if you like. As usual, the recording behavior and schedule can be customized, and you can scare people away by automatically sounding the siren along with the floodlights turning on. Nice! The Reolink mobile app is needed if you want Reolink's own push notifications to work. You will also need to turn on the UID feature or the P2P feature and give the camera internet access. Personally, I do not use the Reolink mobile app in my setup because I use the Frigate NVR Lovelace card, which works beautifully in my HA dashboard and Home Assistant mobile app for actionable notifications. However, for the purpose of testing the app for this review, I did enable the UID feature and I gave the camera internet access. The mobile app is pretty good and very easy to use. It never crashed over the many months I've been using it on my Samsung S20. There's also a new beta feature in the mobile app called Motion Mark, which will draw a bounding box around the object that has triggered the motion alert. It's very useful for troubleshooting false alerts. I use the Reolink integration in Home Assistant to control the camera after using the web admin and the desktop client for adjusting things such as image stitching, stream settings like FPS, privacy masks, etc. Since this was the first Reolink camera I was installing that was supported by the official Reolink integration, I first had to add the camera as part of the installation process of the integration in Home Assistant. I have put the detailed steps on how to do this in the blog article linked below. Head on over to the device page from Settings, Devices, Integrations, and treat yourself to this amazing integration that gives local access to the whole camera. All the important settings and sensors are available so that you can control them either manually or as part of automations through Home Assistant. You will need to enable the mainstream entity manually if you need it. Regarding performance, I didn't notice any delays while controlling the camera through the integration. Any camera switch or setting that you change through any other method, such as the app or the desktop client, will be reflected in the integration as well. Just make sure that the HTTP and HTTPS ports are enabled in the camera configuration. I have Frigate NVR set up on a Nook 11 mini PC and an M.2 Coral Edge TPU. I use the H.265 streams for detection and recording whenever possible. The Frigate docs do recommend using a Reolink specific configuration, but I thought I would just try it with the standard setup. I was very pleased to see that everything worked well out of the box. For the detection stream, I set Frigate to resize the main stream to half of 4K resolution. Because my system is powerful enough to handle on-the-fly resizing, I am not forced to use the substream for detection. I also enable the constant FPS option in the Reolink settings and set the iframe interval, interframe space as Reolink names it, to once every frame. My camera configuration for Frigate can be found in the blog article linked below. Okay, let's get to the most exciting part. How does the Reolink Duo Floodlight PoE perform? With a camera that has so many different features, it's a challenge to address every single use case. So I've decided to focus on those things that most of us who are buying the Reolink Duo Floodlight PoE will care about. During the daytime, it should be able to quickly and accurately detect a person, sound the siren, send timely push notifications, and record a video clip. During the nighttime, do all of the above, but also turn on the floodlights whenever a person is detected. Use the two-way talk feature to talk to the detected person. It shouldn't fail to detect people during the day or the night. There shouldn't be false alerts, even at the highest sensitivity setting for smart motion detection. And finally, advanced features such as a Home Assistant integration that works well and Frigate NVR compatibility for accurate object detection without any fuss. I increased the sensitivity of the person detection to maximum so that we are fully testing how powerful the algorithm is. For the daytime tests, I set the siren to sound so that we can see the precise moment at which the camera detects the person. Similarly, for the nighttime test, the floodlights turning on indicates the precise moment of the person being detected. The test scene in my backyard is around 500 square meters or 5,400 square feet. There's 15 meters from the camera to the fence straight ahead, 30 meters from the camera to the fence on the left of the camera, and 20 meters from the camera to the fence on the right of the camera. I'll be doing 3 scenarios each for day and night. Entry from the right of the scene and walking to the left, entry from left of the scene and walking to the right, and finally approaching the camera head on from the center of the scene, which is usually the most challenging detection range. I found the camera to perform similarly in scenarios 1 and 2, so in this YouTube review, I'll just put the video clips for scenarios 1 and 3. In the first 2 test scenarios during the daytime, the camera detected the person within 2 seconds of them entering the scene. This was evident from the siren turning on and the push notification being sent. So I can confidently say that the camera can detect people at a distance of 30 meters when the person is walking across the scene. In the final scenario of the person approaching the camera head-on, the person was detected at a distance of 10 meters or 33 feet. We then carried out the same tests at nighttime. This is a real test of any camera's motion detection because it has to rely purely on the infrared LED for night vision. The moment of person being detected was observed by noting when the floodlights turned on. Once again, detection occurred within 2 seconds of the person entering the scene. So very similar to the daytime test results. In the final scenario of the person approaching the camera head-on, detection occurred at a slightly lower distance of 7 meters or 23 feet. I tested the Reolink Floodlight Duo PoE extensively over 2 months and only had a single instance of a person being miscategorized as a pet. The camera did not create any false positives, nor did it ever fail to detect a person. Vehicle detection was also very good, looking at the road just behind the fence of my yard. So in summary, the daytime smart detection is excellent, nighttime smart detection is pretty good. The video quality is very good during the daytime as one would expect from a 4K camera, and nighttime video quality is more than acceptable, especially with color night vision, thanks to the floodlights. Adding external IR illuminators will further improve motion detection at nighttime. Mobile notifications were reliable and instantaneous, both locally over Wi-Fi and remotely over 4G mobile networks, as can be seen in this example. Tapping on the notification took me straight to the live stream, and I was able to immediately start watching the live stream. And you can see the person is still on screen in this instance. So an excellent result here. The only thing I miss is rich, actionable notifications, such as the one Frigate sends me through Home Assistant. These contain snapshots so that you can see quickly at a glance what's going on in the notification without having to actually tap on it and wait for the app to open. I tested the Reolink Duo Floodlight PoE's two-way talk feature using the mobile app, both over Wi-Fi and 4G data. I stood around 6 feet away from the camera and my wife was at the other end on the mobile app. Pressing the tap to talk button on the app enables the feature. Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. My wife could hear me clearly, and my voice was also clearly recorded on the motion detected clip that the camera produced and recorded to my FTP server. My voice came through at a good volume at her end as well. Her voice was audible on the camera's downfiring loudspeaker, but it was not as loud as I expected. There was only a very slight lag, similar to other cameras that we have tested, and it was not an issue at all for carrying on a conversation. So the two-way talk feature is acceptable for talking to someone at the door, but I would have liked the speaker to be a bit louder. As we saw earlier, the Reolink integration creates binary switches and sensors for almost everything that you can think of. To test how responsive the camera is through the Reolink integration, I compared the delay in turning on the floodlight from Home Assistant versus the Reolink desktop and the mobile app. In all three cases, the performance was identical. The floodlight turns on within a second of the button being tapped in Home Assistant and the Reolink desktop client and mobile apps. Now, the common issue that people have faced in the past with some cameras in Home Assistant is that the RTSP stream in Home Assistant was not being real time, as in it was lagging behind by several seconds. Of course, there are several alternatives such as using WebRTC, but I wanted to see if this is still an issue. The Reolink integration creates an entity for each stream from the camera. By default, only the sub stream is active. For the sake of testing it, I enabled the main stream also. I embedded both of them into a Home Assistant dashboard as a picture card with the live option enabled. The substream view was an actual video, and the lag versus the Reolink RTSP stream on the web admin page was 1 second. The mainstream view was a still image that updated every 10 seconds, so it was not live, it is not real time. And the lag versus the Reolink desktop app 4K stream was 2 seconds. Frigate is my NVR for AI object detection, and with the settings mentioned earlier in the setup section, I have very reliable person detection in the defined zones. I would say it's comparable to that of the Duo Floodlight PoE's own smart motion detection system. One common issue that people experienced in the past with Reolink cameras in Frigate is glitching and tearing while using the RTSP streams. But with the iframe interval and constant FPS settings, I experienced no such anomalies. The 4K mainstream and the half megapixel substreams were both smooth, and Frigate had no complaints either. Finally, the Frigate Lovelace card shows the camera substream with a lag of only 1 second. To summarize, here are the things I liked about this camera. And this is very important to me. It works locally without the internet or any cloud subscription. The dual view 180 degrees lens have excellent quality with a 4K sensor. You get reliable smart detection for person, vehicle, and pets. The privacy masks and motion masks help you to reduce false alerts. The infrared LEDs allow for operation in total darkness. Of course, the floodlights are very bright and give color night vision. There is the optional built-in NVR feature using a microSD card. The two-way talk works with the speaker and mic, and there is a very loud Siren. The desktop and mobile apps are excellent. You get quick and reliable push notifications. And of course, for integration with your smart home, for Home Assistant, there is the simply lovely local integration, and the camera works with Frigate NVR and Google Assistant if you would like to use it with that. But the two-way talk feature can be improved. The speaker is not loud and can be difficult to hear in a noisy environment. So what's the verdict? Overall, I'm very happy with the Duo Floodlight PoE and how well it integrates with my smart home using Home Assistant and Frigate NVR. If you want a high-quality 180-degree panoramic 4K camera with smart floodlights, the Duo Floodlight PoE is a great choice. So what do you think about the Duo Floodlight PoE? Which camera would you like me to review next? Leave your comments below. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button if you found this review useful, and subscribe for more DIY home security and local-only self-hosted smart home videos.